So to all of you out there wondering and wanting to get an off-grid solar rig set up, we just hit 9 years out here and we're replacing some batteries. So I finally got some hard numbers to go off of for a long-term cost analysis. So our system is 24 volts. Originally we had 8 batteries wired up in series parallel. So 2 in series, you add the voltage, you get 24 volts, and then 4 in parallel, you add up the amp hours. We also have 960 watts of incoming solar power originally when they were brand new. The whole unit was installed in 2011. I designed and installed the system myself. You could probably do it yourself with a little research. Price points, you know, what's it going to cost me? Because that's about one of the most important things as far as I can tell. I'm going to go beyond $1 a watt, you know. There's batteries involved, and we're going to go like dollars per month, dollars per year. What's our initial investment? How long has it been? We didn't file for any state or federal rebate on the solar panels or the batteries. There's a good chance you're going to still be able to get a state or federal refund. It'll be even cheaper for you. And if you're on grid tie, if you got power at your house already, you won't have to buy batteries unless you really want to. So just another point to make that we might have a higher cost than you will, really. The good thing about having a long-term cost analysis is that, you know, this is real life. We haven't babied our batteries, which I doubt you'll be able to either, because in ideal operation, you want to use the top 10 to 50% of a battery. The less of the battery you use, if you only use the top 10%, it's supposed to last a lot longer. But luckily, after beating the crap out of our batteries and, you know, for many years, and they were stored in a garage tent or a carport, and they've been under a tarp, they've been in a tote before we had a proper building to put them in. So you'll get like a real life scenario. In 2011, we bought 4 Sharp solar panels. They're each 240 watts apiece. At the time, we paid $1,600 for them delivered, and I want to say $300 to $400 of that was shipping. So that was definitely a big chunk of the system cost. And then we bought 8 Alpha Cell 110 110 amp hour batteries, and I want to say we got a discount on those, but it was still quite expensive. It was like $1,800 for 8 of them. So that's the bulk of the cost. And then when you get down into more of the specifics, because what really makes up a solar system, an array or a module, a solar module, would be the solar panels collecting energy from the sun. First it sends it to a charge controller. The charge controller decides if the batteries need the energy or not. So then from the batteries, it could go to an inverter where it changes from DC to AC, which you have in your home, 120 volts from 12 or 24 or whatever your DC system is. We have gone through an inverter. It was a $300 inverter, I believe. It was a 1,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, which you'll need for fridge, computer, anything that was sensitive electronics or motors in it. And then we burnt that thing up. I think it lasted 4 years. Now we have a 5K Ames modified sine wave inverter. I want to say that thing was around $400, but I'd have to double check. And then our charge controller, we've already burnt one up, and it was a simple LED readout. I would have to look up the name of it. I believe it was like $250 or $300. I think it lasted like 2 or 3 years because it was under a tarp and it was in bad conditions. But when we went to replace that, we bought an Outback 80 amp charge controller. That thing's a boss. It's got room for us to get more panels and upgrade. And so far it's just been doing a great job. And then as far as miscellaneous stuff, we bought some hardware to make some racking because you want to use stuff that doesn't rust, etc. About $150 in wire maybe. And you're gonna want some fuses. Those don't cost much, maybe $10, $20 in fuses. Switches, hardware, random stuff like that. And then an electric multimeter to kind of troubleshoot and see what's going on with the system. Those are like $50 to get a good one. As far as maintenance, I mean, we had sealed batteries, so there was nothing going on there. And then you just wipe down the panels, get the snow off of them, change the angle depending on what time of year it is. As far as longevity, they say that batteries will last, you know, and this depends on the variety of battery, but we had a silver alloy. It was basically a gel battery. They say, you know, you can expect to get like 5 years out of them, 10 if you're lucky. and we really abused them, I feel like. I mean, not to like brag about it or anything, but by the end of it, they were really dead. I mean, they would charge up in like an hour or two, and that's not, it's supposed to take more than a day to charge a battery bank this big. 2 in series, 4 in parallel. 440 amp hours, 24 volts, and if you take volts times amps, you get watts. And if you take amp hours times volts, you get watt hours. So if you do the math, 24 volts times 440 amp hours is 10,560. Or 10.56 kilowatt hours. So that's the mathematics there, but really if you're only using 50% of that, you only have like 5 kilowatt hours of actual available power. What if the sun doesn't shine tomorrow? So then you're talking days of autonomy, and this is stuff I'll get into designing your own solar rig and basics of startup. Now just for the breakdown of the mathematics.